faceless coward. The judge's words as Kohberger is sentenced. This is the ending to a case that gripped the country. Stay with me. Here's how a guilty plea and a DNA trail closed the loop. Today, we break down the finish of the Idaho college murders case. Bryan Kohberger pleaded guilty and received 4 life sentences without parole. We'll follow the evidence from the house to the lab to the courtroom. And we'll show what happened inside sentencing before those words were spoken. In November 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were killed. Their names are Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. A campus went dark, a community mourned, and the nation watched. Vigils filled the quad with candles, photos, and quiet anger. Police and federal partners worked a massive investigation in the weeks that followed. Every update drew crowds, but facts moved carefully and slowly. Inside the house, investigators documented what looked like a key clue. They recovered a knife sheath on a bed near one victim. On that sheath, lab testing found a male DNA profile. That profile became the center of the evidence map. Detectives compared it to later sampling associated with Bryan Kohberger. The match placed the sheath and the suspect on the same path. From that point, the case focused hard on forensic links. Court filings later explored how investigators reached that DNA match. Questions about genetic genealogy and lab processes appeared in hearings. The defense challenged the path from unknown DNA to the defendant. Prosecutors argued the chain of custody and testing were sound. Each hearing added detail to the timeline and the evidence tree. The public saw only fragments, but the record kept growing. Meanwhile, families pushed for answers and an end to uncertainty. Then, in early July 2025, the posture changed. Bryan Kohberger entered a guilty plea in open court. With that plea, the death penalty was no longer in play. Sentencing would be life terms without the possibility of parole. The plea collapsed the expected long trial into a final phase. Focus shifted from pretrial motions to impact statements and punishment. All eyes moved to the sentencing date circled on calendars. On July 23, 2025, the courtroom was silent and full. Victim impact statements described futures stolen and families reshaped forever. Prosecutors summarized the evidence and the plea's terms for the record. The defense addressed the court, but the outcome was set. Judge Stephen Hippler pronounced 4 consecutive life sentences, back to back to back to back. An additional term covered the related burglary count acknowledged by the court. Then came the words that echoed beyond the walls, faceless coward.
2022, a faceless coward reached the tranquility of 6 beautiful young people.
The room held still as the gavel sealed the sentence. What does that mean going forward for the case file? Criminal proceedings ended with life without parole for 4 murders. But that does not mean the paper trail stops now. Public records, exhibits, and investigative documents will continue to surface. Each release explains another part of how the case was built. From the house diagram, to the lab forms, to the warrant logs, these receipts help the public see how investigators assembled the picture. They also show why the plea made legal and practical sense. Let's connect the narrative pieces you'll see on screen today. First, the vigil images and the names will ground the timeline. Second, the knife sheath graphic will show the DNA pathway. We'll trace the comparison step that linked the profile to Kohberger. Third, we'll mark the hearings that questioned the evidence route. You'll notice where the defense pressed and where the state responded. Finally, we'll show the sentencing language and the structure of the terms. 4 life sentences without parole is the legal final line. There are lessons in how this case moved from rumor to record. Early speculation online gave way to filings, exhibits, and sworn statements. The strongest parts of the case were physical and testable. The most emotional parts came from the families who spoke in court. A guilty plea recognized both realities, evidence weight and the need for closure. It spared a protracted trial, but preserved a comprehensive record for review. That record is what we use when we say receipts on screen. If you want the full timeline and the source list, say so. Comment the word timeline and we'll pin the key documents. You'll get the dates, the docket beats, and the exhibits we referenced. We answer early comments, so drop questions and we'll prioritize them. Before we close, one more look at the arc you just watched. From a house on King Road to a sheath to a match, from hearings about science to a plea to sentencing language, from candles at a vigil to statements at the lectern to silence. The legal case is finished and the sentences will run for life. The human story continues for the families who must live with loss. We will keep covering developments if any records add new clarity. For more verified true crime breakdowns with documents on screen, subscribe. Binge our Crimson Case Files playlist for the next deep dive. New episodes focus on receipts, not rumors, so you can decide for yourself. Tap the bell to catch uploads the moment they drop. I'm signing off for now. Respect to the families, and thanks for watching.